What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about wide receiver Olamide Zacchaeus. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for your continued support, continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you'd like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. And if you'd like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, you can hit that join tab here on the channel as well. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So as I mentioned in today's video, I do want to talk about Olamide Zacchaeus and should the Falcons re-sign Olamide Zacchaeus. Personally, I do feel that the Falcons should think about bringing back Olamide Zacchaeus, maybe on another one-year prove-it type deal. Olamide Zacchaeus has played for our Atlanta Falcons for the last 4 seasons. He's been a guy who's gotten better each and every season. Originally, I believe he was an undrafted player out of the University of Virginia. But he's one of those guys that's like a blue collar type player, one of those glue guys, one of those role players on our team. To me, he's kind of like Mr. Reliable for our Atlanta Falcons because he's one of those guys that can pretty much play outside or inside in the slot. But personally, I would bring him back to be that slot guy on this Atlanta Falcons team because we brought in Mack Hollins, who's about 6'4", 220. You have Drake London, who's also about 6'5". 215 pounds as well. You have 2 bigger body wide receivers, and then you still have Kyle Pitts. You still now you did bring in Jonnu Smith, who's also a bigger body tight end. We're kind of missing that guy who can be shifty in the slot, and I do think that Olamide Zacchaeus could be that guy who can play that role for us. We do have guys that are unproven, like Frank Darby still on the roster. We still have Jared Bernhardt and a lot of young guys that really haven't gotten a chance to prove themselves. But I feel like we really don't have that guy like that Cole Beasley type on our roster right now, other than Olamide Zacchaeus and Demir Bird. Both of those guys were the shifty type guys we had on our roster last year. Now, it is some guys in this draft that I think the Falcons could go after, but they don't have that experience. One thing I think when you have a guy in the slot playing that slot position, you have to have a player that understands how to read zones, understanding how to sit down in certain situations and create an open void for the quarterback to throw the football. They have to understand how to come back to the football when the quarterback is under duress in those scramble drills. And I think that that's something that Olamide Zacchaeus does very well. You kind of have to have that feel to know when the defender is lingering around you, knowing when to sit down, know when to keep running those crossing routes and things of that nature. And Olamide Zacchaeus brings that element to our Atlanta Falcons offense. He is a guy who can stretch the field for our Atlanta Falcons, even though we haven't been a team the last couple years under Arthur Smith that stretches the field. Olamide Zacchaeus is a guy who can take the top off the defense. He's a guy that can do those jet sweeps and reverses and things of that nature. But he's also a guy very good at filling voids and understanding when teams are playing zone. He knows when to sit down. He's very good at making big catches, and he's made big catches the last couple seasons for us. The biggest knock on Olamide Zacchaeus is just his size, him being 5'8", 195 pounds. Sometimes when they played him on the outside, when we lost Kyle Pitts last year due to injury, because of his size, sometimes he can't get off of press man coverage because of his size. But if you play him majority of the time in the slot, which I think with this Atlanta Falcons team, because you have Drake London, because you have Mack Hollins, Jonnu Smith, and Kyle Pitts, we have a lot of bigger body wide receivers already. We're just missing that shifty type player that can, go inside, be that slot man, that can beat a linebacker one-on-one, that can beat your 3rd or 4th best corner on your team, or a guy that can actually beat a safety one-on-one in some instances. So I definitely think the Falcons should think about bringing back Olamide Zacchaeus. To be honest, I'm surprised they hadn't already brought him back because he's one of Arthur Smith's favorite guys on the roster, because he's one of those guys that's a do-it-all type player, a guy that can play special teams, because this team is all about versatility And for Olamide Zacchaeus to be a smaller type player, he doesn't get injured often. He's a guy who's been available. And we all know in football and in any sport, the best ability is availability. And Olamide Zacchaeus, is always available. So I definitely think the Falcons should definitely think about bringing him back. I don't think it'll take a whole bunch of money to bring a guy like Olamide Zacchaeus back because he's one of those role players. I do think that he understands that he's not a star wide receiver. So I do believe he'll be willing to come back on a short deal, whether it's 1 or 2 seasons. But I do also think having him in the locker room, he is one of those guys that's a leader for some of these young guys. He can help bring along, the Jared Bernhardts. He can help bring along those guys like Frank Darby because he understands how to get it out of the mud. He understands being an undrafted type guy. He understands what it takes to be a professional. And I think he's the ultimate professional when it comes to understanding that he has to bring it every day, to remain on the team. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of Olamide Zacchaeus possibly re-signing with the Atlanta Falcons. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back, but I definitely think it's something that the Falcons should think about at this point, just to add more depth to our Atlanta Falcons team into that wide receiver room. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up, be blessed, peace.